Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. I'm Ethan Foster, your resident observer of the human condition. I like to think of myself as the designated driver in the vast road trip of health topics. Always with me, doing donuts in the parking lot of knowledge, is Elara Sky, the brilliant comedic mind who knows exactly where all the best rest stops are. Elara, how are we doing today?
Hey, Ethan, I'm fantastic. I'm just thrilled that you finally called me brilliant on air. Usually you only say that under your breath when I figure out where you hid the snack stash.
I must commend your problem-solving abilities. You've outsmarted me many times. Now, let's dive into something that we rarely think about but rely on every day, the oral microbiome. This wondrous metropolis in our mouths is teeming with bacteria, fungi, viruses, some heroic, some villainous. Apparently, according to Dr. Mercola, that city in our mouth could make or break our health. Who knew we had our own version of Times Square right behind our lips?
We do indeed. Except in this Times Square, the giant blinking billboards would say, brush properly or pay the price. And the tourists, those would be the leftover bits of last night's dinner that decide to hang around your molars. If you're not careful, you'll create an entire economy for the unsavory characters who feed on sugar and generate all sorts of trouble.
So, imagine we zoom in on this microscopic city. On one street corner, we have friendly bacteria that help break down our food. On the other side, there's the shady group that just loves all the soda and candy we throw their way. If you're kind to them, they'll be kind to you. But if you feed the wrong crew, they throw a rager that can leave your teeth in shambles.
Precisely. They'll be spinning those sugary tunes all night, causing cavities, inflaming your gums, and sending out party invitations to more bad bacteria, which can even sneak into your bloodstream. And once they enter, they've got a VIP pass to the rest of your body, heart, brain, organs, you name it. Like uninvited guests at a wedding reception, they'll cause chaos.
This is where Dr. Mercola's analysis really resonates. He points out that our mouth is not an isolated fortress. It's more like Grand Central Station, a major hub that can either help keep us healthy or create a nationwide meltdown inside our bodies if we're not careful.
Absolutely. We've had this assumption for years that the only point of brushing and flossing was to avoid cavities and bad breath. Now we're learning it's also about not letting the tiny criminals in your mouth start a riot and break into your bloodstream.
The next question is, what lifestyle choices matter the most when it comes to these mouth microbes? One study from Pennsylvania State University looked at Nepalese with various lifestyles, like foragers, subsistence farmers, industrial workers, and tested how different diets and habits shape their oral microbiomes.
It's basically a global microbe festival. Each group has a different lineup of microbes. The foragers had certain beneficial bacteria that you don't see as often in city folks who munch on bread, donuts, and big gulps. Meanwhile, the industrial workers had more industrial sets of bacteria, presumably wearing tiny hard hats, constructing plaque and tartar.
Dr. Mercola highlights that the differences in lifestyle, like smoking versus not smoking, or choosing certain staple grains, can shift our oral microbial balance. Now, smoking is pretty clearly the bouncer that lets in the undesirables. If you smoke regularly, your mouth's beneficial bacteria might just pack up and leave.
Which leaves all the troublemakers partying in your mouth, complete with strobe lights and confetti. Meanwhile, folks with a more traditional diet, less processed stuff, more natural foods, had beneficial microbes like Neisseria, which is tied to better gum health. That's a big one. When you lose these good guys, it's like your friendly neighbors who bake you cookies suddenly move away and are replaced by that questionable couple that blasts polka music at 3 a.m.
So, the moral of the story is, your mouth is a delicate ecosystem. You want to maintain the nice microbe neighbors and keep away the rowdy ones that lead to cavities, gum disease, and bigger bodily issues. But some folks might be thinking, okay, so it might cause a cavity or two. Why should I care about the rest of my body?
Oh, you should care, my friend. When your gums get inflamed and your mouth turns into a mosh pit of uninvited guests, it opens up the blood vessels. Think of it like an old drawbridge. If that drawbridge is always down, the little microbial troublemakers can cross over into the bloodstream and set up side gigs in your heart, your brain, or your organs. It's the ultimate infiltration.
Right? And there's research linking gum disease with more serious issues. It seems so bizarre. You mean my unassuming plaque and swollen gums could influence my heart or my brain? Dr. Mercola points out that the bacteria associated with gum disease have been found in places you'd never expect, like the livers or even in the brains of people with Alzheimer's.
It's like your dentist used to say, floss or else, but we never realized the else could be so serious. One line of research even found that harmful bacteria from the mouth can worsen conditions like hypertension and even complicate diabetes. This is definitely more serious than just a bit of morning dragon breath.
Now, let's talk about how to avoid all that. We've got the usual suspects, brushing, flossing, maybe seeing a dentist once in a while. But Dr. Mercola strongly suggests going the biological dentistry route. People might be asking, is a biological dentist like a typical dentist but dressed in a leaf skirt offering organic toothpaste?
If only they wore leaf skirts, that would make for a fantastic photo op. In reality, a biological dentist simply looks at your oral health as part of your overall well-being. They're keenly aware that those mercury amalgams in your mouth aren't exactly the best decor choice. Biological dentists aim to minimize toxic exposure and keep your mouth healthy without just patching holes and calling it a day.
And you'd want to see one, especially if you have a dreaded mercury filling still lurking in your teeth. Dr. Mercola encourages replacing those as soon as possible with safer materials, because mercury can wreak havoc. Plus, I don't know about you, but I don't exactly relish the idea of a heavy metal floating around so close to my tongue.
I have enough to worry about just keeping a balanced mouth microbiome. Let's talk next about one of my favorite topics, junk food. I have a love-hate relationship with it. Turns out, though, so do the bacteria in our mouth. Sugary foods are basically their energy drinks. The bad bacteria guzzle them down, multiply like bunnies, and create acid that gnaws on our tooth enamel.
And we can't forget drinks. Sodas, sweetened teas, sugary sports beverages, these feed the troublemakers. It's like handing out free lunch coupons to the entire bad bacteria crew and expecting them not to invite all their friends. The more sugar they consume, the more your enamel erodes. Then you find yourself at the dentist's office, lamenting how those 2 or 3 sodas a day snuck up on you.
Meanwhile, other foods are much more supportive of good bacteria. Probiotic-rich foods, for instance, think yogurt, kefir, or fermented veggies. They bring in the cavalry of beneficial microbes that chase off the moochers. It's like recruiting your own personal microbe security team.
Another big culprit is acidity. Those sour candies, energy drinks, beyond the sugar, have high acidity. That's more erosion for your teeth. So it's not just about sugar content, it's also about pH levels. If your mouth is one giant acid bath, beneficial microbes can't flourish, and enamel starts to vanish.
So the big takeaway, if you're chugging sweet drinks and eating sugar-laden processed goodies, you're basically letting the worst part of your oral microbiome move into the penthouse. Meanwhile, a balanced diet with fruits, veggies, and natural probiotics is like renovating that penthouse so good microbes can live in luxury.
Right? So after hearing all this, people might be thinking, I need an action plan. I need some easy steps to fix my mouth city. For starters, brushing effectively. Dr. Mercola says 2 minutes twice a day, with a soft bristle brush is your friend. And perhaps the biggest point, do it gently, at a 45-degree angle to your gums.
Which, ironically, was also my angle in geometry class, 45 degrees to the paper, gazing out the window. But in all seriousness, there's a reason the dentist always draws that little angle for us on those instructions. If we hold the brush horizontally and go at it like we're sanding a piece of wood, we might irritate the gums, or even push the bacteria into them.
And for those of us who chug a glass of orange juice and think, I'd better brush immediately, the recommendation is to wait about half an hour. Otherwise, you're just brushing acidic remnants around your teeth, which can accelerate erosion.
That's a tip I wish I'd known sooner. Now, flossing is the other key. I know some people who only floss when they've got a poppy seed stuck in their teeth. That's like only cleaning your car when you notice a random raccoon living in the trunk.
Right? Flossing is how we get rid of plaque-building bacteria in those tight corners. If brushing is vacuuming your carpet, flossing is vacuuming under the couch cushions. Skip it, and you'll soon wonder why your mouth starts to smell like the lost remnants of last week's dinner.
And remember, the type of floss matters. Some floss has questionable coatings. Dr. Mercola suggests using floss without forever chemicals. You might find waxed options made from healthier ingredients. So floss, floss, floss. That's how you keep your gum line from turning into a toxic wasteland.
Exactly. Now, here's something I love. Oil pulling. It's like the ancient practice of swirling coconut oil around your mouth to pull bacteria out of all the nooks and crannies. Kind of like vacuuming at a deeper level. If flossing is the upholstery tool, oil pulling is the vacuum with a turbo setting. 20 minutes is the typical length, though that can be quite a mouth workout.
The first time I tried it, I stared at the clock like I was diffusing a bomb. But apparently that's normal. The key is to relax your jaw and swirl the oil gently. Don't go full-on hamster cheeks, or you'll exhaust yourself. By the end, the oil is supposed to get all thick and milky, which means it's pulled out all sorts of microscopic friends you didn't want in there.
Then, the vital part, spit it out in the trash, not the sink. The pipe plumber in your home will thank you. Coconut oil can solidify in the drains, and you'd rather not have your plumbing pay for your health journey.
Another piece of advice from Dr. Mercola is giving your mouth an alkaline final rinse with a little baking soda in water. Bacteria love acidity. Raise that pH and they'll be less comfortable. Think of it like adjusting the thermostat to a setting your guests hate, so they decide to leave early.
That's a great image. Sorry, I can't stay. It's way too alkaline in here. Now, aside from brushing, flossing, oil pulling, and rinsing, there's a major lifestyle factor Dr. Mercola highlights: sleep and stress management. We don't realize it, but chronic stress can throw off the balance in your mouth and set you up for an overgrowth of nasty bacteria. Sleep is also critical. If you're not resting well, your immune system can't keep mouth bacteria in check.
So if you're binging TV shows till 3 a.m. and living off caffeinated energy drinks, your mouth is basically a pass for the rowdy crowd. Sleep resets your body, including your oral defenses. Lack of sleep can lead to dryness of the mouth, which can hamper saliva production, saliva being nature's rinse cycle.
Without enough saliva, your mouth turns into a desert where only the tough, cacti-like bacteria survive. And guess which ones those are? Usually not the kind you want. So get your Z's to keep your mouth flora from going haywire.
Of course, Dr. Mercola also points out that seeing a biological dentist regularly is crucial, someone who understands the synergy between your mouth and your entire body. They'll recommend safe fillings, identify if your brushing technique is more like an aggressive scrubbing, and check if you have any gum disease issues that might be sending pathogens on holiday tours through your bloodstream.
That sums it up nicely. This conversation reminds me that the mouth is anything but an isolated area. If we manage our oral microbiome well, we're not just saving ourselves from cavities and gum disease. We're also investing in our heart health, our brain function, and overall well-being.
Exactly. The older approach was, oh, you've got a dental problem, just fix the tooth. Now it's, wait, this little microbe infiltration might be messing with my entire system. Every time we pick up a toothbrush or decide between sugar water and a healthy drink, we're influencing a chain reaction that can reach all the way to the other end of our bodies.
Yes, and it goes beyond the brushing and flossing. If you live a life of processed foods, sugary drinks, minimal sleep, high stress, and no routine dental care, you'll probably feel the repercussions not only in your mouth, but in your blood sugar levels, your heart, maybe even your memory down the line.
Right. So let's give folks a quick comedic recap. 1. Your mouth is a mini city. Keep the troublemaking bacteria from taking over by feeding your body well and maintaining daily brushing and flossing. 2. See a biological dentist, because they look at your mouth as part of your whole. 3. Consider oil pulling if you're game for some ancient mouth gymnastics. 4. Watch your sugar intake. Bad bacteria can outnumber your good ones if you're basically handing them free candy every day.
And 5. Keep your stress levels down and your sleep up. The calm life leads to a calmer mouth. A restless, stressed-out life can have your gums waving the white flag.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So the next time you're tempted to skip that nighttime brush, think about the busy city that never sleeps in your mouth. If you keep it clean, the good guys thrive. If you neglect it, the hooligans take over. And trust me, these hooligans don't just graffiti your teeth. They can break into your vital organs too.
That's a graphic mental image, but one we all need. Good mouth health equals good body health. It's all connected. Nothing in our body works alone. So, let's wrap up with a final piece of wisdom from Dr. Mercola's approach. Don't underestimate the power of small daily habits. The biggest difference often comes from consistent, mindful choices, like brushing correctly, being aware of your diet, and actively protecting your oral ecosystem.
Indeed. Small steps lead to big changes. The moral of the story, you don't have to turn into some virtuous monk who renounces sugar forever. Just be mindful about it. And do the little things. Floss, brush gently, occasionally swirl that coconut oil around, and say hi to your dentist before your tooth begs you to.
That's the spirit. Well, that's all for today's episode of Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. It's been a thorough exploration of the wonders of the oral microbiome, proving once again that big surprises can come from the smallest corners of our body.
Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm Alara Sky, and let's all strive to keep those mouth bacteria happily coexisting. May your gum lines be peaceful, and your floss be forever strong.
And I'm Ethan Foster, reminding everyone that your mouth is not just a place to hold your coffee and your opinions. It's a gateway to your entire system. Manage it wisely, stay balanced, and keep learning. See you next time on Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom.
Take care, everyone. Remember, you're the landlord of that microbial apartment complex in your mouth. Set good rules and enforce them with good habits. Until next time.
See you then. Keep smiling, literally and figuratively.